Autophagy and gut health have a quietly fascinating morning relationship, a little like two roommates who sometimes collaborate beautifully and sometimes argue over who gets the coffee first. Autophagy, our cellular janitor, is active in the early hours when fasting, sweeping out damaged proteins, recycling mitochondria, and generally tidying up cellular debris. Meanwhile, the gut microbiota, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, are busy processing whatever leftovers remain from the previous day and adapting to the absence of fresh food. The timing of breakfast dramatically influences how these two systems interact. When you delay breakfast, autophagy enjoys uninterrupted hours to clean up, while the gut microbiome shifts into a sort of overnight maintenance mode, metabolizing residual nutrients, producing short-chain fatty acids, and optimizing the intestinal environment. It's like a well-orchestrated morning symphony where the janitors and the gut microbes are quietly humming in harmony. But the moment breakfast arrives, the dynamic changes in a spectacularly comedic way. Insulin surges, autophagy politely pauses, and the microbiota suddenly wake up like hyperactive interns when a snack delivery arrives. Sugars, fibers, and proteins enter the digestive tract, and the bacteria spring into action, fermenting, producing metabolites, and competing for nutrients. Autophagy, broom in hand, sighs, muttering something about back to work later, I suppose. The irony is that the very meal that fuels your body and brain also temporarily halts one of its best long-term maintenance systems. It's a classic biological contradiction: immediate energy and cognitive performance versus cellular cleanup and repair. The science behind this interplay is particularly elegant. Fasting promotes autophagy in gut epithelial cells, supporting cellular renewal and barrier function. This is important because the intestinal lining undergoes constant turnover, and efficient autophagy ensures damaged cells are removed and replaced, maintaining gut integrity. At the same time, the gut microbiota benefit from longer fasting periods, which allow for a diversity of microbial activity, increased production of beneficial metabolites, and reduction of harmful bacterial overgrowth. Eating breakfast, especially high-carb or high-sugar meals, shifts the gut microbiota's focus toward fermentation and nutrient processing, while temporarily suppressing autophagy in epithelial and other cells. In other words, your gut is suddenly hosting a bustling morning market while the cellular janitors take a coffee break. This relationship has practical implications. Delaying breakfast for a few hours may enhance autophagy and support microbial diversity, potentially improving long-term gut health, immunity, and metabolic function. Yet skipping breakfast entirely isn't a universal solution. People vary in energy needs, cognitive function, and tolerance for low morning calories. A balanced approach might involve a modest, high-protein, low-carb breakfast after a short fast, allowing your body and microbiota to enjoy both cellular cleanup and energy replenishment. Essentially, you're negotiating a truce between the janitors, the microbiota, and your morning metabolism. The comedic side of this is irresistible. Imagine autophagy sweeping through the intestinal cells, gently whispering, "All right, let's tidy up this lining," while bacteria scuttle around producing beneficial metabolites and occasionally whispering gossip about which fiber will ferment fastest. Then breakfast barges in: a croissant, a smoothie, maybe even a coffee, sending insulin into a tizzy. The janitors freeze, the bacteria explode into activity, and the mitochondria roll their eyes. Yet the system is resilient, adaptive, and even a little playful in its contradictions. By mid-morning, autophagy resumes, bacteria settle down, and everything continues in a surprisingly harmonious cycle. What's fascinating is that this morning interplay doesn't just influence gut repair, it also affects systemic health. Autophagy in gut cells contributes to reduced inflammation, improved immune signaling, and better nutrient absorption, while the gut microbiota modulate metabolism, hormone signaling, and even brain function. Breakfast timing and composition become the levers that tune this orchestra. Delaying breakfast favors autophagy and microbial maintenance, while an early meal favors cognitive performance, energy, and satiety. Both outcomes have benefits, just at different time scales. So the morning paradox remains delightfully entertaining. Autophagy wants uninterrupted quiet hours to clean and repair, the microbiota want nutrients to ferment and thrive, and breakfast wants to fuel both the brain and the body immediately. It's a biological sitcom, where everyone has valid priorities, occasional disagreements, and a shared goal of keeping you alive and functioning. In the end, the right approach is context dependent. Sometimes the janitors get a longer shift, sometimes the bacteria throw a metabolite party, and sometimes you enjoy your breakfast knowing that autophagy will quietly return for its next round.